Welcome in, Hawks fans. Your boy Bryce Lewis back at it again for another Believe in Hawks episode. The shorthanded Hawks fall tonight to the Oklahoma City Thunder, 117-100 in the second of a back-to-back after the Hawks won in Orlando on Friday. And, you know, it's one of those things where I think nobody needs to crash out. You go against the defending champs, best team in the league. You're down 3 starters. You fought in the first half. I mean, you know, and then really you had one bad quarter that opened up the game. And sometimes you can see in the league that could be the difference between you winning, losing, a blowout, a close game, just having one bad quarter. And then Hawks were on the receiving end of those last year. This is one they've had this year. But overall, honestly, I'm coming out of this game honestly encouraged about some things. And I think the team's fine. 1-2, it's okay. It's early in the season. You still have a lot of games to go. So no one needs to panic about the Atlanta Hawks. So I'm going to go ahead and get into my breakdown of the game in just a minute here. But I just want to let you guys know, obviously, if you enjoyed the pod, definitely subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment down below, like the video. All love and support is always appreciated. And if you're listening to audio, same thing. If you can leave a rating, hopefully 5 stars, that will always be appreciated so we can expand the reach of Believe in Hawks. And if you want to interact with me more, you can go on my Twitter, Bricey_2K, BRICEY_2K if you want to follow me and keep up with me over there as well. So, you know, we're doing all that. And like I said, we'll keep rolling as the season continues on here. But let's go ahead and get into the game. So, you know, obviously, Jalen Johnson added to the injury report before the game. Right ankle sprain, apparently. I know he finished the Orlando game. I don't know when the injury happened. But I mean, I think for some people it was a bit of a surprise. It was a bit of a surprise seeing that. And he didn't play Oklahoma City, and he was a guy that I said in my last episode that I think he would have a big night tonight. But obviously he didn't play. So Hawks were shorthanded. Front court shorthanded. And it was just like, okay, Oklahoma City should win this game probably. It's just a matter of, you know, can the Hawks make it interesting? Can the Hawks keep it interesting? And also, it's the NBA. Anybody can win on any given night. So you never know if the Hawks can get an upset, you know? And so really this game, first, you know, Yucca Okongwu posterizing Chet Holmgren was obviously probably one of the biggest highlights coming out of this game, especially from the Hawks side of things. He's been really good. First 3 games of the season, I feel like he's played well, just in his role, whether as a starter or as a come off the bench, just in a small sample size. But, you know, that was obviously a highlight play. Mo Gay continuing his strong play tonight as well. So really happy about what I saw from him. And really in the first half, the Hawks were competing. There was, and I like their offensive rhythm in the first half. You know, Oklahoma City, what makes them so difficult is they take advantage of your mistakes, and it just feels like they're always consistent. Like they never waver. It's like you're getting consistent Oklahoma City throughout the entire game, where, you know, a lot of teams, I think, you know, kind of fluctuate throughout a game. You have really, really good highs, and then you have a low, and then you have highs, and you're kind of, you know, steady. Oklahoma City, it feels like they're always steady to great. It feels like it's very rare to get a bad stretch out of them of basketball. And, you know, they obviously held the lead for the majority of the first half. I think they were tied at 14-14 before the first time out, so the Hawks were able to keep up at that point. But like I said, as the half gone on, you know, they were able to make more plays than the Hawks did, but the Hawks stayed in there. And right before the half, I think they got as close as 1 or 2 points before, you know, and ended with a 5-point deficit going into halftime. So Hawks really did a good job of execution in the first half. I think you saw, you know, just Trae Young was really dialing it up, especially from an assist perspective, finding guys, making good looks, and giving guys easy looks to try and take advantage of. So, you know, obviously, you know, third quarter starts, Shea starts to pick it up, Oklahoma City starts to pick it up, and the Hawks start making mistakes. I think Hawks only had for 6 turnovers in the first half, basically essentially had that number in the third quarter. And that really is what kind of opened the game up. And really, too, another story of this game was the 2-point shots. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the Hawks, if you watch that game, missed a lot of good looks. That's a game where you're coming out of that. Like, the Hawks has a lot of good looks, especially with 2-point shots, and especially with the way their shot selection is. A lot of that's around the rim, which you obviously are not a fan of because it's not like you're taking threes and those are lower percentage shots. You're taking close to the basket twos, and you got to make those. And if they were able to make more of those, they probably could have had a lead at some point in the first half. So I think that's obviously something you maybe look at after this game and kind of be like, man, if we were able to just make more of our twos, in the first half, that may have potentially could have changed this game a little bit. So, but like I said, it didn't turn out that way. And then Oklahoma City pulled away in the third quarter, just kind of showing their championship medal. But again, the fact that you're down your three frontline guys, Zach, KP, and Jalen, and you were even in that position, and I think they fought. Oklahoma City had used their 2 7-foot lineup with Hartenstein and Chet. And, Gay battled, Newell, who I'll talk about more, he battled. Kongu always battles. I mean, they were battling to, try to combat that, and it's not easy against that front line. But, overall, it just felt like one of those games where it felt like Oklahoma City always got the breaks they needed to stay in control. They got that extra loose ball. They got that extra offensive rebound, and it felt more evident of that in the second half. And that's what kept the Hawks from basically getting back into the game and then Oklahoma City running away with it. But overall, I came out of this game, I feel good. I'm not really concerned. And I feel really, really good about the front court. Like these last 2 games have made me feel really good about just their front court and front court depth in general. Because obviously we came out of the first game with Toronto. They only played Kristaps Porzingis, Jalen Johnson, and Yeka. And I questioned that. I said on my last podcast, I questioned that, like, why we got players. You have answers. You don't have to do that. And I advocated a lot for Mo Gay. And Mo Gay had another good game tonight. He had 11.6 rebounds and 2 assists with a couple of blocks. So, again, he had a tough matchup guarding Hartenstein, guarding Chet tonight. Chet got off to a great start from the 3. Like, he made his first 3, I think. So, he just had it from a shot perspective. But, I think Mo, again, played well, good rotations, affecting shots at the rim. He just looks more confident. He looks more – it definitely just seems like he is more prepared and more ready to play. That is how I would probably describe what I've seen from Mo Gay, is that Mo looks more ready to play. He looks more ready to go. He doesn't look like a guy who at times last year, except if maybe it was against the Milwaukee Bucks, that you could tell, like, oh, yeah, especially on the offensive end, it's like you could tell he's a little lost. You can tell he's like, every time he gets the ball, he's like, I get out my hands. He's also been shooting the 3 ball not too bad either. Tonight wasn't like fantastic. Like, I'm not saying like he's shooting great, but like 2 of 6, it looks more confident. I can tell he's been working on a shot. And, like I said, overall, I think Mo has definitely done a great job in these last 2 games, kind of showing Quinn Snyder that he deserves to continue to have minutes going into future games. Obviously, they have the Bulls coming up on Monday, so we'll see if that at all. We'll see what the status of Jalen and KP is. Don't know if Kristaps' thing has to do with what he's been dealing with that we found out about, or this is like another sickness that he's dealing with. And then Jalen, we'll see how long he's out with the ankle sprain. Again, he finished the game in Orlando, so I don't know if it's just a precautionary thing back-to-back, or he'll be good to go on Monday. But, if not, Mo has done a good job, I think, in the time that he's gotten. And, he continues to show why a lot of people were high on him. A lot of people looked at him with potential. And like I said, if you need him with foul trouble, if you need him with injuries, Mo Gay still brings something to the table that you can definitely take advantage of. And just seeing his play improve is a very good sight to see. And then also Asa Newell. He started off 3 of 3 from 3 tonight. Like his shot looks good. It looks confident. And remember, the 3-point shot wasn't something he took a ton of at Georgia. The Hawks drafted him with the hopes that he could develop that shot. In the last couple of games, he's been hitting that 3 ball. And because they've essentially just used him as like a stretch 4. And then also, I got to give him credit. He be in there on them boards. Newell be fighting on them boards. He can get some rebounds. He kind of you could see what the Hawks liked about him. in how he could potentially help this team. Good on the boards, kind of, getting better at his 3-point ball. And again, it feels like, hey, develop him. Maybe at some point he becomes a bigger player for your rotation, I'm sure at some point. And I think if you're Quinn and the staff, it must feel really good to see him play this way, because I've said this with Quinn. You have so much flexibility now in that front court that you can go, or you can go with different types of matchups. Like they can truly treat a game like, okay, we're playing a bigger team, so I need to go bigger. We're playing a smaller team, so maybe I want more athletic guys. Obviously, we know who the top 3 is going to be, but again, if they're playing that 4th, maybe even 5th big, you have 2 guys who very much are, you could say, I can trust them for a 4-5 minute stretch. They can still come and give us production, and that helps us not have a drop off. Totally. Like the biggest drop off you have right now with those 2 is that they're not the scorers that Kristaps Porzingis and Jalen Johnson are. They're not guys who you would think every night they can get you 20, But Gay can, at this point, he's gave you 10 plus in the last 2 games. Maybe he's a guy now who can get you 10 points if he was put into a higher minute role. Newell is a guy who, you can see he could be a lob threat, hit the 3, good offensive rebounder, things of that nature, get some putbacks from time to time. So, overall, I think that, that part of the team, I just feel better about kind of seeing this. It's almost like it's good that they've been able to get this extended run this early, because for a long season, I know people are talking about the injuries and like, oh, Jalen's out again, KP's on the BS with being out, blah, 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 blah. But if anything, this will help the Hawks be like, we don't have to push a guy to get back. Like, sometimes when you're like, oh my God, we really need this guy back, that as a team, you may get like, do I need to maybe push him to come back and play just because, we need him. Now with some of the play you've seen from those 2 guys, he can come into it and say, we don't have to push him unless he is 100% ready to go, because we have guys who are capable. If anything, you're still probably going to push more for Jalen Johnson more than Kristaps. Like Kristaps, you can kind of survive without him, from that perspective. Jalen is more just because he does so much more ball handling and other things. So which Newell and Gay don't do. So, I think that he's more of a priority in terms of getting back. But overall, I like the depth of the front court, a lot of young talent. And, it'll be interesting to see if they have to play on Monday and if anybody can get back. And obviously also Zach was out tonight as well. So, just really happy with the young guys from that perspective. Let's talk about Luke Kennard, because a lot of Hawks fans are already done with Luke. So the big issue with Luke is he's not taking threes. We kind of mentioned this last night. Didn't take a 3. Tonight he took 3s, but he took them kind of late in the game when they were down and the game was kind of already at hand. And the big issue with Luke is we brought you in to be a 3-point shooter and a ball handler, and you've been doing ball handling, but you haven't done the shooting part. And I think a lot of people think that is really one of the most important, if not the most important skill that he can bring to this Hawks team, is that outside shooting. Because the Hawks haven't had a good 3-point shooting game really so far. Tonight they shot 41%, so that it was like good. Like they didn't shoot bad tonight. They shot better than Oklahoma City from 3. But it feels like they still haven't hit their stride from a shooting perspective. And I think Luke Kennard's a very big part of that. But he hasn't hit his stride as a shooter either. So I know my guy David Lee, he asked Quinn after the game about, that. And, Quinn basically just was like, yeah, we want him to get more shots up, but he also helps in some other areas that we think he's good in. And so it's just something as we evolve as a team, we'll see more of over the season. And Quinn has said that multiple times as the team evolves, because he understands like this is not at all the final cohesive version of the Atlanta Hawks. This is nowhere close. So there's a lot to go left in the season. There's a lot of progress to make in that regard. But I understand the frustration with Luke Kennard because you always have these players. When you have 3-point specialists on your team, most 3-point specialists are not great defenders unless they're considered the archetype 3 and D, right? Luke Kennard's not really considered 3 and D. He's just considered a 3-point specialist, right? And so the issue with these guys is if they're not hitting their threes and they're not good defensively, you view them as a big fat negative on the court, right? And so it's very important for Luke to impact the game in some capacity offensively every game, just so that it justifies, okay, he's not going to be the best defender. That's how you kind of that's how you view it as a coach. Like, oh, wait, we're going to get this, but we know he'll give this up, and then we just have to help him on that end to try to minimize the impact, right? But, I mean, again, I'm not going to be too worried about Luke. If he's struggling with this or he's not taking shots in January, December, then we can have maybe a different conversation because now we're getting close to trade deadline season. But I'm not going to panic on Luke Kennard after 3 games. But I can also, let's say it in the sense like, yeah, I want Luke to get more shots up. I want him to kind of bring that 3-point threat to the offense and just kind of help to further evolve and further, improve the overall offensive flow, just adding that extra element to them and just being able to do stuff with that as well. So, and then also Dyson. A lot of people talk about Dyson Daniels. Offensively has not been great so far. The first game he was out not out, but he didn't play a lot with foul trouble. Last 2 games, not great offensively, right? He's made some plays defensively, yes, but not great offensively. And so, again, people are kind of like, all right, we've seen you in the gym. We've seen you working on your offensive game. We really haven't seen the improvement yet on the floor. It feels like a little bit Dyson is trying to figure out. It's almost like, I'm not trying to say he's trying to figure out his role, but it's like he's just trying to figure out how does he assert himself offensively. Offensively, I feel like he's thinking more, like how do I assert myself? Because I feel like last year it was like, all right, Trey, you kind of play off Trey, whatever. And then when he was the point guard, I always said when he was like the guy who was the main ball handler, he would be more aggressive offensively. Really this year, the Hawks haven't used him in that type of a role. So he's kind of played more of the when Trey's on the floor or now Nikhil is on the floor. And I think he's still trying to gauge and fill out when to be aggressive offensively. But then obviously, when he gets close to the rim, you really want him to make, again, those close range shots, layups at the rim. Because, if you have those looks, you want to make sure that, hey, we get those looks. Every point from you counts. And, just to present yourself as a threat offensively. So, I think that's something that some people have complained about or have some concerns about with Dyson, especially now that he's got paid. So now, people can look at, oh, he's got paid, he's not trying anymore, things like that nature. So, but overall, I mean, again, not too worried. Game 3, obviously, yes, you want to see some improvement from Dyson in that regard, but I'm not at all concerned, panicked, or worried that Dyson, he just has to get to his spot. He has to get to his thing, and he'll be fine. Trae Young, 15 points tonight, 4 rebounds, 10 assists in this game. First half, like I said, he was dealing in the first half. Did some good stuff passing. I kind of noticed with Trae, outside of that fourth quarter against some Magic, he's kind of taking on that role he did when he has higher assist games where he's kind of like just filling the game out. Like he's not being overly aggressive offensively. He's kind of picking his spots a little bit. And I think because they've been trailing a lot, it kind of at times can make it look like, okay, we're trailing and our star player has like 15 points. And it's like, brother, what are we doing? But I think it's because he's trying to really run the offense that Quinn has set, more passing, more ball movement, keep the ball going, which means there are going to be times where he's not the last, shot on that possession. And he's also trying to give his teammates an opportunity to also make plays as well. But, obviously I'm not like ultra concerned about anything really with him right now. I mean, big thing for him is just staying healthy, which he's done pretty much most of his career. And, again, when the team needs him stepping up when that is called upon. But overall, I'm not, again, too concerned about Trae Young and, his offensive game. I think that'll come when it needs to come, and he'll make plays, and he'll give us that big 30-point game, that 40-point game. But I feel like the days of Trae Young needing to give the Hawks 30 and 10 are over, because I just think Quinn doesn't want him to have to carry that type of offensive load. He already has to do so much anyways. Like, if we can drop that 4 or 5 points, and then we can up everybody else's, and it still can lead to wins, that's a win in his book, because then maybe, playoffs is like, all right, well, we may need you to then get back to 30 and 10. But regular season, we don't want you to have to overextend yourself. And, I think, Trey's just kind of, like I said, trying to run the offense, get his teammates involved, and keep guys, invested. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 17 points. He's kind of been one of the most consistent offensive guys. And a lot of people have been saying, I've just never seen Nickeil. I've never, not never seen, because I never saw Nickeil leading us in shots, being this aggressive offensively. Because, once again, Nickeil is known as a 3-and-D guy. And so far in Atlanta, he's kind of showed more of he's showing, or trying to show, he's more of an all-around ball player. Like, I'm not just a 3-and-D. I can attack the rim. I can cut. I can, do different things. And he was the leading scorer for the Hawks tonight with 17 points. He went 6 of 10 from the field and 3 of 6 from 3. So offensively, he had a good game tonight, and he gave you a block and 2 steals. So Nickeil, actually, I think people are going to feel it different because they didn't think this was the role he was going to play. But I really think this actually, for the long run, will actually really be beneficial for the Hawks, just to have him knowing he'll be aggressive. Because, like I said, someone on that bench has to kind of step up and be that bench guy. The Hawks don't have a Bogey or a Karis LeVert this year, who you could be like, oh, he can come off the bench and give you 20, right? Nickeil's obviously taking that and kind of trying to be that guy, that 6th man for the Hawks, who can get you 15 to 18 a game off the bench consistently and give you really, really good defense, and just trying to help with the bench scoring. So, obviously he's had to start the last couple of games. When Zach gets back, he would go back to the bench. But, overall, listen, I'm kind of, Nickeil had a good night tonight, obviously playing his cousin Shea on home city. So, overall, good stuff from him. Bit crazy, 13 points tonight. 3 of 7 from 3, 4 of 10 from the field. He was okay tonight. It's Bit Krejci, does what he does. Keaton Wallace, 5 points. Dante played again, 1 point, 4 rebounds. Still looks a little shaky. I know Hawks fans are like, oh my God, he's the worst player ever. But, overall, I don't think they're too worried about it. And, so, like I said, overall tonight, Hawks fought, down 3 starters against the world champs, and then they pulled away in the second half. So I'm not really too mad about how the game went. I know some people aren't going to be in love with it, but, Hawks just got to get ready to bounce back. They got Chicago and Brooklyn in the next 2 games. The road trip starts Monday in Chicago. And then if you can win those 2 games, then you're going 3-2 into the game with Cleveland. Quinn said he's hopeful that Jalen and Porzingis and Ricochet will be back. So I've said that I think KP will be back, and then I think Zach will be back. We'll see with Jalen. We'll see how, they take this next day off, and then Monday hits, and then we'll see where they are. But, obviously these next 2 games will be kind of important, just to get some more wins in your belt, and just feel better about the season overall. So, we'll have to see. Like I said, tough battle tonight, but they did what they need to do to compete. And, like I said, I feel really good about the front court and the depth they have there. And, I hope, Quinn expands the lineup when everybody's healthy again on that side of things. And, obviously, does Quinn still have his questionable lineups that he puts in there? Yes. Second quarter lineup, starter, second quarter. Like, what are we doing right now? But, it is what it is. All right. So we'll have to see. But I think that's about it for me. If y'all enjoyed the episode, definitely subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment down below. Follow me on Twitter at Bryce_2K. And then my audio listeners, hopefully leave a 5-star rating. And, we'll be back again after the Bulls game. Hopefully we're talking about a Hawks win, and they're 2-2 on the year. So, but win or lose, we'll be back again for sure. And I'll give you the latest of my thoughts on this team moving forward. But I think that's about it for me. It's your boy, Bryce Lewis. See you next time.